I think there are two baskets. The big basket is around these fundamental secular shifts that are still great opportunities. This is around AI, robotics, artificial intelligence. I think that these, even though they're used a lot, I think these are fundamental areas that you can continue to invest in. That's companies like Apple, Tesla, NVIDIA. I realize that those stocks have not done well recently, but I think that's a great bucket to be in. And then there's the bucket of social. And you've talked a lot about it on the show this morning. I think there are fundamental issues around not only the privacy piece on this, but also does the world actually need these platforms? And I don't suspect that they're going to go away, but I see those buckets, that social bucket, as a bucket of stocks that probably isn't going to do much on the upside over the next 6 to 12 months. So that's more broadly how we're thinking about it.
Regulations coming, or because you think that everybody's going to hashtag delete Facebook and not use them anymore? Because there is a social trend happening in this, where do you ascribe all this to?
I think that some of the policy changes that you're talking about today are going to impact some of the effectiveness of this advertising as they continue to rein in the type of information they either gather that they can share with other third parties. That has an impact. Obviously, with Twitter, in terms of their licensing business sales, in terms of Facebook, it's hard to see about what that means for some of the lift that advertisers are going to get. I'm old, and so I don't think that there's going to be, I don't fully understand the need for people to have Facebook, but I don't think that there's going to be some huge aversion to Instagram or Facebook. I think that those platforms are going to be around forever. But I do think some of the lift that you're going to see because of some of these policy changes can impact the advertising effectiveness. One last piece is this whole narrative plays out around privacy and separately, do we need these social platforms? Advertisers need to think for the first time about, is advertising on Facebook a liability? We've seen a couple small advertisers, Pep Boys and Mozilla, back off of the Facebook platform, but it's subtle things like that that make us think, not that Facebook is going to go down dramatically, but think that this stock can be essentially stuck in the mud for the next 6 to 12 months.
Okay. Let's talk about Google. They get dragged into this conversation sometimes, sometimes not. They're collecting an awful amount of data as well. What are the implications there?
Well, Google's potentially at risk. Obviously, like you said, they're collecting a lot of data. It's hard to see where that goes. If you think about the big picture here, companies that are really well positioned would be Apple on their privacy side, but Google has some exposure here. The one piece that makes me comfortable about the Google story is that the world can't live without Google. We need their search. That's different than Facebook. The world can't live without Google. So to answer your question is, I'm bracing for something negative to come out around how Google uses their data and shares privacy in the next 6 to 12 months. I think that could be negative for the stock in the next year. But it doesn't change the fundamental belief that they've got large opportunities not only around search, but around maps, and all their other bets. So I still am positive on the story longer term.
Where do you put Snap or Twitter?
They're in the ugly bucket right now. I think even below where Facebook would be. And I think in the case of Snap, the issue is that not only do they have some issues around social, the need for social privacy, but also they have a big competitive problem is that Facebook keeps ripping off their features and is gaining more users on Instagram stories. And in terms of Twitter, like Deirdre was talking about earlier, 14% of their revenue comes from this licensing business. That grew at 18% last year. By the way, licensing business is code for selling your data. And so that was the part that's been kind of the shiny part of the Twitter story.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.